Every day, people are trying to fool you. Media, politics, advertising, most business transactions, most relationships even, they all have a bit of fooling in them. And today I want to show you that anyone's mind can be hacked using simple techniques. And sometimes it can be a good thing. You see, I'm into the study of fooling. And as a magician, my job is to create, through deceptions, emotions that might be positive, but also unexpected. Now, throwing a fireball and moving quickly for surprise is not really magical. What I've been learning through the years of being a student of the craft is that there's actually some underlying key psychological principle, if well applied, will always result in some strong magic. As magicians, really, we're into the art of engineering what could be called a cognitive dissonance. If there's a misalignment, a dissonance between what you are processing in your brain and your expectation of what reality should be, well, that's where there's this misalignment, this lack of conversion, and bang, you get a cognitive dissonance, a magical effect, a wow moment. So by sharing some of those techniques with you today, I hope to show you how to recognize how easily your mind can be fooled and fallible. Also allow you to perhaps spot if someone is trying to take advantage of you in your everyday life. And also allow you not to be so hard on yourself when you do get fooled, because it's perfectly normal. You see, our brains have evolved to be very effective at coming up with randomized or rather standardized solutions. We take shortcuts. It's really an evolutionary matter. It's a survival thing. It's a fight or flight instinct response where you have to come up to the right conclusion as quickly as possible. If I walk here, you can no longer see me, but probably none of you think I've gone into another dimension, right? Your experience in life tells you that I'm probably still here. You learn that as children, and that allows you to come to simple conclusion quickly. But that comes with its blind spots, and as magicians, we take advantage of that. Now, I've been holding this pack of regulation blue playing cards, standard playing cards, so you probably all came to the assumption or the conclusion that I would be performing some card magic or card tricks, right? But that was just a box. What's in it is different. Just a stack of blank bits of cardboard, blank playing cards. And with them, I'm going to create a bit of meaning. I need a bit of help. Is that all right? You can have a look, throw a few around, just so you know. Let's see. Sir, we've never met before. First time our gaze cross. Got a couple of options for you. Got a red marker and a black marker. I want you to just name, out of the blue, just a letter, any letter of the alphabet. A, easy. You went for the first one, eh? Okay. I like it. Do you want to change your mind? Huh. A it is. Excellent. And can you point to perhaps a lady in the first row or someone just behind you, someone easily accessible to your side? Miss, we've never met before. First time our gaze cross. You can name any number, a single digit or even a two-digit number, but just a number. 16. 1, 6. And last but not least, I'll use the red pen to frame this up. Sir, never met before. Do you want a circle or a square? Yeah, that's you. A circle. Or in this case, it's going to be an oval. That's all I have room for. So now we've created a bit of meaning on a bit of cardboard that had essentially no meaning at all. A16, right? And we're going to keep this handy for a little bit later on. It might be a bit of a prediction of things to come, if you wish. I'm going to attempt to create some cognitive dissonances, very quick ones, using my movement and my words, and this red pen. I'm going to make this pen disappear. One step at a time. First, the cap. So it goes behind my knee. I'll do it again, just for you at the back. Under this knee. And last but not least, you're actually going to hear the moment in time when the cap goes. Here. Now it goes behind my elbow. And the pen goes. I have no idea where. Oh, thank you. And now the cap. I have no idea where that went. Thank you. So for movement and action and words, I'm leading your brain to go into the wrong conclusion. I'm actually editing your brain, if you wish, in a nice way. I did promise I'd make the entire pen go, so I'll do it just for you there as well. Here we go. Just like this. And now we get it back. Thank you. Another thing our brain is very good at, and paradoxically, it can also be used against itself, is it's very powerful at recognizing patterns quickly, jumping to quick, simple conclusion based on what it sees. So I'm going to ask all of you to play along here, and we'll do a little exercise, I guess, in pattern recognition. Are you up for it? Okay. Come here and watch. I'm going to show you a few images, and hopefully you can recognize what they are shortly. Here we go. Hop. Yes. Human face, right? Upside down. Not anyone, right? The forehead tell it. It's me. That's right. I'll show you now the original by showing you the original image that was very blurred. Now that you know what it is, your brain just cannot help by recognizing what it is, even when I was holding it upside down earlier on. And that's because your brain doesn't analyze every single pixel. It analyzes just a few simple features. My mouth, my forehead, my ears, my eyes, things like that. And now if you watch the image, my evil twin brother. This is a classic effect called the Thatcher effect. It was developed in the 1980s in psychology labs in the UK in order exactly to evaluate, essentially, or try and attempt to understand how brains recognize patterns. It's a fun effect, but also like any optical illusion, I find them mysteriously powerful. Because even though you know what's happening, you know what pattern to look for, your brain just cannot help but just reverting back to its usual pattern recognition modes. And it's fantastic. Another aspect we often use as magicians is memories. They're actually more like an edit or even a re-edit of what you feel is important at a specific slice of time. Depending on how much focus you're giving to a particular moment, you're going to retain them. And as magicians, we try and play with memories, erase memories, create new ones, or change memories. Now, how often have you, for example, shaken someone's hand and introduced yourself, and literally seconds after, you've completely forgotten what their name is? It's the story of my life. Simply because you're focusing not on the sounds that's coming out of their mouth, but perhaps on their physical appearance or how nervous you are to meet them or whatever else might be tickling your fancy at that point in time. Or what about when you're looking for an object of importance, like your glasses, your reading glasses, and you realize that you were holding them the whole time? That's better. Another phenomenon I really like is déjà vu. That's when there's a disconnect between short-term and long-term memory. And that gives you the impression of seeing the same thing over and over again. Memory doesn't always fail only in relation to visual cues. It can be sounds, it can be emotion, it can be feelings, it can be tactile feelings. Pickpockets know that very well. Do you remember when the last time is that I touched that card that we created at the start? Do you remember? No? Then why does it say pocket? Do you remember the last time I reached into my pocket? A16. It's bizarre, right? And what really stumps me is, when did that blue box become red? This is a phenomenon called change blindness at play. Different to memory, but very related to focal perception and retention of information. So as magician, essentially, we encourage you for our words and our movements to reach the wrong conclusions, purely for good, right? But there's another very important tool, a technique, I should say, that magicians use all the time. This technique is called lying. But I'm not talking about lying overtly, like saying a verbal lie. That's actually quite bad magic when you do that. You usually get caught out. It's more about lying for your attitude, your actions, even your thoughts. A bit like miming at a micro level. A bit like that old classic trick of pulling a corn from a child's ear. Yeah? We've all seen our uncle or grandmother or grandfather do that. 90% of that is just lying. In the same way, if you make the corn disappear, maybe it was just a lie in the first place, right? It feels special, doesn't it? Now let's try something else. I'm going to show you a bit of a layer that we like to add when performing magic, and that is simply storytelling or creating an engaging presentation. That could be done through whimsical fantasy like you might see in Las Vegas, or a very stripped down, bare bones, postmodern presentation like I'm attempting to do today for you. For example, imagine that I give you power. Yeah, over this card. At the count of 3, I want all of you just to say the words up. Okay, didn't work for me. Everyone, 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. And so it rises. Right? I'll do it again, but a bit more slow motion. Place it right here. The count of 3. 1, 2, 3. It worked again. You might often want to see this happen in real time at face value. So I'm going to try and demonstrate. Watch closely. Rises to the top. It's just an illusion. With one hand, it metamorphoses back on top. And just like this, sir, say pocket. Because that's where it started, isn't it? From the pack to the pocket. Do it again. Say pocket. No. Yes. To the pocket. Now, it becomes so absurd that one might think, let's push this imagination game even further. Because you see, our brains are well known to not do a very good job at differentiating real and imagined events. And that's what we take advantage on when we add a layer of storytelling. Now you've got one here, one on top, and one in the middle. Okay. But how is that possible if it started in my pocket? And if it was before I picked it and before you named a number and a value, it didn't have any ink on it, right? But before it had ink on it, we didn't even hold a card. Because it was in my pocket. It started somewhere. Maybe it went back there as well. Into the pocket. Place it back in the pack. Thank you. The pack? Where did that go? Oh, in the pocket. And in the pocket is a pack. Makes a lot of sense, right? But this goes to tell you that even though it's easy to think we know everything, there's just so much we don't. And there's been quite a few studies conducted on the neurology and the cognitive psychology aspects associated with magic, but there's still a lot we don't really understand. And there's much to be gained in these fields, the arts informing science and science informing the arts, especially with these ancient traditions that have been passed on for literally thousands of years. But maybe your assumption at the start was right. Maybe this was when you saw this box of playing cards and you assumed I was going to do some card tricks. Maybe this was just going to be a talk about a guy standing on a stage playing with some cards. And maybe you shouldn't always be on your guards when you see a man on a red dot in a theater playing with his cards, but you should be acutely aware at all times in your life of our shortcomings in our cognitive processes and how much there is we don't know. Tonight, I hope you can forgive me for trying to deceive you. I just wanted to be really honest about my dishonesty. Thank you.